Think about the last time that you approached a girl. Maybe you've been thinking about this girl for a minute. You've seen her in class. Maybe you've been kind of like both seeing each other at a certain place, and you've been telling yourself that you need to go approach her. So, after a long battle of just think of checking it out, maybe you tell your friends and whatnot, eventually you do it. You get the balls and you finally approach her, regardless of how the outcome goes, whether you get the number, whether you get rejected on the spot, whether you get cops called on you, however it goes, at least maybe, not the last option. How do you feel at the end of it? How do you feel at the end of it? What is the best reward that you get from doing that? An answer. You get an answer. Look, I think when a lot of guys in particular, whenever we think about approaching girls and just socializing in general, this can just be honestly extrapolated to just people, but more so because we're talking about women and documenting the journey on this. I think a lot of the times we think that the biggest reward ends up being, getting the number or, whatnot, which of course is a very good feat. Obviously, you want the number, you want to continuously build upon this potential relationship that you with this, particular person that you're interested in. Of course, by all means, that's good. But even if you do get rejected, even if she says, I got a boyfriend, or maybe she just blatantly disrespects you, however way it goes, at the end of the day, you get something that a lot of people, especially, a lot of guys, us nowadays, that they don't get. And that is an answer. You get an answer. You finally get an answer. There's no more of this, oh, well, she touched my arm a little bit, but this day, she kind of ignored me. So I don't know what sign she's giving off. Maybe she likes me, maybe she doesn't. You're thinking, okay, well, I'm gonna go, talk to her today. She looks a little bit busy. However, whatever way you splice it up, whenever you have this, when you're just thinking about, when you don't have this clear answer, when there's a lot of fog, it just clutters your mind. It absolutely clutters your mind. And in some cases, especially if you've been wanting to approach, it ends up just being a mental, like, just clog in your system that just affects like the whole day, basically. I keep bringing this up, but for you guys for you if you don't know, I approached my work crush this past Sunday. It's Wednesday right now. This past Sunday I approached her. And before that, on the other Wednesday, so basically a week ago, like 1 week ago today, me and her were talking. Me and her were really, well, as much as you can get with it being a language barrier, but we were talking, laughing. She was really close to me, touching up on me and whatnot, like dying laughing. And I had an opportunity to ask her for her number, but I didn't. In those 3 days that I didn't work, it ate me up. That's all I could think about was just her and asking, her number. That's all I could think about. And eventually, the following, Sunday when I worked that day, I asked her. I asked her, and even though she said no, even though she said she's married, I got my answer, and now I can move on. I can look at other options. I'm not constantly thinking about, oh, okay, well, maybe does she do this? Does she do that? Because truth be told, we still interact, but it's like now I feel great knowing that, all right, I laid it out on the table. If, what I laid it out on the table. I don't care. Especially if you, are following along on this journey as well. You're probably the same as me in the sense of like, you let so many opportunities pass by. And look, truth be told, there's always going to be opportunities that pass by whether or not you realize it. Like, you're always going to pass by opportunities. It's just about picking the right ones to actually pursue. And a lot of the times, if we're, especially in this mindset of like, or rather if we don't have any girls to talk to, it's because we let too many pass by. And that the ones that we do get like a little bit of a sign, just a little bit of a hope. Maybe, she tries to get our number a little bit like in a way we don't recognize. Or maybe she touches you a little bit. Or maybe she just continuously tries to, start a conversation. However it may go. If you do not capitalize off of that and, and ultimately get an answer sooner or later, of whether or not, hey, this is something that you want to pursue and something that you don't, it's just going to eat you alive. It's going to eat you alive. It's going to ruin your self-image because you're just going to be like, especially if you prepared for it and you ultimately chickened out. I mean, I know this is something that I've done plenty of times in high school where it's like, I wanted just to, it was on a so simpler level. It wasn't even like asking a girl out. It was simply just being like, I'm going to, say hey to her, but then I wouldn't. Like, and I would just be like, oh, I would prepare the night before. I just spit everywhere. I would prepare the night before just to simply just say, hi. like, You know what I mean? Like I don't, I hope you relate to that. Please don't let me be the only one that experienced that. But you get the point of just like, not only does it, shred your confidence whenever you don't actually, fulfill what you actually want, but most importantly as well is once again, oh my goodness, bro. Jeez. Once again, it just makes it so much harder just to continue with your day because that's all you can think about. That's why I give a lot of like, bro, NBA players props. Like I couldn't imagine being like Tyrese Halliburton and you lose in the finals like that. Like I know he's probably, all smiley and went out on camera on stream, but I know inside he's probably seething. I mean, I would if it's game 7, you tear your Achilles, if you know basketball, but yeah, man. Because I was thinking today, like I was really just thinking today about, me potentially approaching this other girl at work. She doesn't really speak too much English. Unfortunate. You hate to see it. But as I was thinking about that, and I was just thinking about like the previous, girls I've talked to and whatnot, I realized that the ones that stick out to me the most are the ones that I actually have like an answer. I actually have an answer. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, yeah, it didn't work out. But, at the end of the day, I know at least I was true to my intention. Or maybe she was as well. You know what I mean? I think a lot of the reason, in a sense, why people get caught up in continuously like thinking about a girl and it just won't leave their mind, and just overall like they make it a bigger thing. Like they take a girl that maybe they're interested in, maybe you wouldn't say you like her or anything, but maybe you're interested in this girl, but ultimately because you keep letting it boil in your mind more and more, and you add your own input, you add your own bias to it, of course, you end up creating this like perfect image of her, of what you actually, that's something we can get into in a different video. I ain't gonna lie, because that right there is what I heavily relate to, and I know you probably do as well. So I'll make another video on that, separately, but just to kind of, surface level, touch on the topic surface level wise. Ultimately, when you let it boil in your head over and over, then it's just going to be in your mind all the time. Versus if you say, okay, I asked her, she said no, dope. Absolutely dope. If anything, you might be happy because if you're in the same boat as me, in the sense of like, you don't really talk to a lot of girls, you don't really approach a lot of girls, you don't approach girls rather, it could be something that it just boils in your head over and over. So yeah, that's all I really got to say. Today's going to be a little bit of a shorter episode, or I guess video, I guess. I don't know why I don't know what's up with me, but yeah, it's going to be a little bit of a shorter video today. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm feeling pretty good. I got some big news, big things in the works coming up. I still got to put in the effort by all means. So by no means is this like a guarantee or anything. But all I'm gonna say is that if this goes through, a lot of content is gonna be crazy. It is going to be crazy in a good way. So potentially stay tuned for that. I will see you in the next video. Peace, 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 peace.